Hello there. Welcome back to live orientation at grade 11. So this video we're going to look at a question paper of November exam. So we are going to go through our typical examination questions that we have. So all the first question that we are going to look at is on 1.3. Uh, of course, the question reads, answer the following questions by writing the answer next to question number. So the first question is provide two ways to research higher education options. So you can research higher education options through attending open days. Then also you can also visit the websites of multiple institutions. You can also conduct a web search on the pros and cons of each option. Speak to people about their study experience to get first hand. It's another point. So that's what we have. We obviously want to get first hand knowledge. Then also, you can also contact institutions directly and ask questions in a way to research higher education options. Then, on the second question that we have is critically discuss two important functions of technical and vocational education and training, that is TVET colleges in South Africa. So what are the two important functions of technical and vocational education and training, which are TVET colleges? Within that context, again, if you try to go back, I would say that in terms of the importances of TVET colleges. So here the importance in terms of the existence of TVET colleges in South Africa. South Africa has a large shortage of skilled artisans and trains people. So TVET colleges help to decrease this shortage and increase national development in this sector. And also, graduates from TVET colleges are able to provide key skills in South Africa's business sector, which will boost the companies that employ them and contribute towards South Africa's economy. So these are the points that we have in terms of importances of different colleges. Then on 1.4, you have to read the extract below and answer the questions. Of course, we are not having the extract at this point, but we are going to answer the questions that we have, which we have 1.4.1, discuss a negative consequence of teenagers being exposed to untrustworthy adults on apps like Tinder. So of course, the negative consequences, of course, we have them listed. In number one, we've got online predation, but of course, teenagers who encounter untrusted adults on platforms like Tinder may face a heightened risk of encountering individuals with harmful intentions. And these adults may misrepresent themselves, leading teenagers to believe they are someone they are not. This deception can result in various negative outcomes. So these are the negative outcomes: online predation, we've got emotional distress, inappropriate content, identity theft, and privacy concerns. Cyberbullying also is part of that. So with that, I would say that we move on to the next question that we have. That way. That's what it was. So moving on to 1.4.2, explain why using online dating apps could be considered risky behavior. So, of course, we have potential for deception as one of the risks. Online dating apps can be a breeding ground for dishonesty. Teens may encounter individuals who misrepresent themselves, including their age, interests, or orientations. This deception can lead to disappointment, trust issues, and even dangerous situations. So, we go to the second one, privacy concerns. Teens may not fully grasp the importance of safeguarding their personal information. Sharing too much personal data on dating apps can make, in terms of the continuation of that point, can make them vulnerable to cyberbullying, identity theft, or harassment. It's crucial it's crucial for teens to understand the significance of protecting their privacy online. So we also have inappropriate content. Dating apps may expose teens to explicit or inappropriate content, conversations or images, and this exposure can have a negative impact on their emotional well-being and may lead to unhealthy perceptions of relationships and intimacy. So these are the points that we have. Of course, we move on to the next question. 1.4.3 suggests one way in which teenagers can keep themselves safe when they decide to meet someone new in person. So choose a public meeting place is one of the key points to note. Share plans with a trusted person. Meet during daylight hours. So very important. So this is at the end of our section A with a total of 20 marks. So with that, we move on to the next question that we have, of course, is going to be our question 2. So in terms of question 2, the first question is you have to define the term gender-based violence. So this is the description of a gender-based violence, whereby gender-based violence refers to any harmful physical, emotional, or psychological actions or threats directed at an individual or a group of people based on their gender or perceived gender roles. So, of course, I've got a continuation in terms of its description. Then in terms of 2.2, you have to set 2 key reasons why gender-based violence continues to be a significant issue in South Africa. Reasons why gender-based violence continues to be a significant issue in South Africa. The first one is patriarchal culture, is the first one. South Africa, like many societies, has a deeply entrenched patriarchal culture where traditional gender traditional gender roles and norms often perpetuate unequal power dynamics between men and women. So this is what we have on the first part. In terms of one of the reasons, we go to the second one. So the second one is high levels of inequality and poverty. And on the 2.3, explain a strategy that the South African government could implement to address and prevent gender-based violence effectively. So these are the ways to prevent gender-based violence effectively. So comprehensive educational programs can be a strategy that can be employed. Develop and implement age-appropriate gender-sensitive education programs in schools that promote healthy relationships, consent, and gender equality. And then also, these programs should focus on teaching students about respect, empathy, and communication, emphasizing the importance of gender equality from young age. So, comprehensive education programs is the first one. The second one, community engagement and awareness campaigns. Community engagement and awareness campaigns. We have to launch national, they can launch national awareness campaigns to change social norms and attitudes regarding gender-based violence. Engage communities and leaders and influential figures in promoting respect for women's rights and condemning violence. And also enhanced legal framework can also be a way. So we also have accessible support services, data collection and research, engage men and boys, collaboration with NGOs in civil society can also be a strategy. Economic empowerment also is a strategy that can be also employed. So in terms of economic empowerment, we do have explanation of that. Promote economic empowerment opportunities for women, enabling them to gain financial independence and reduce their vulnerability to abusive partners. And then also have monitoring and evaluation, establish a rigorous system for monitoring and evaluating the effectiveness of gender-based violence and prevention programs and policies. So this is our table for that part. And then on 2.4, can discuss 2 potential physical and emotional consequences that victims of gender-based violence might experience. So in terms of physical consequences, we've got physical injuries, sexual health issues, Then, of course, we now have emotional consequences, whereby under emotional consequences, we put post-traumatic stress disorders, and also depression and anxiety. Then, moving on to the next question, which is about 2.5, assess two ways that gender-based violence presents itself in South Africa. So you'd see that we have got intimate partner violence, whereby the intimate partner violence, including physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, is prevalent in South Africa. Many women suffer at the hands of their current or former partners, enduring physical injuries, emotional trauma, and sexual coercion. They also have sexual violence and rape. Also, we have harmful cultural practices. So we have a continuation in terms of the explanation of the last point that we have, that is harmful cultural practices. Of course, on the explanation, it reads harmful cultural practices such as forced marriages, female genital mutilation, and collective rape are targeting plus individuals persist in some communities. These are practices perpetuate gender-based violence and violate the human rights of women and marginalized groups. Then we also have violence against LGBTQ plus communities. We also have human trafficking and sex work exploitation, cyberbullying, and online harassment also as a part of that. So moving on to the next question that we have, which is now 2.6, suggest strategies the community could implement to combat gender-based violence. In each answer, it also indicate how government could support these communities in their endeavors. So strategy one, establish community education programs. So communities can implement community education programs to raise awareness about gender-based violence, promote gender equality, and teach conflict resolution skills. Also, this in terms of explaining the point, these programs would involve workshops, seminars, and awareness campaigns aimed at educating community members about the consequences of gender-based violence and the importance of respectful relationships. They can also provide resources for reporting and seeking help. And to answer the second part of the question, how can the government support, as indicated in the question, how government could support these communities in their endeavors. So on that part, the government can support these community education programs by allocating funding for their development and implementation. Additionally, government agencies can collaborate with the local NGOs to provide expert trainers and resources. This partnership ensures that the programs are effective and reach a wider audience. So this is strategy number one. In terms of strategy number two, in terms of making the point, explain the point, answer the second part of the question, we also have the explanation on establish safe spaces and support services. So moving on to the next part, we are now going to Strategy number three, whereby strategy number three, engage men and boys in gender equality. So we've got the development of the point. I make a point, I explain the point, and answer the second part of the question. Then in terms of strategy four, strengthen community policy and legal support. We also have the different categories is articulated. So moving on to the next question, which is question three. First part, we have to define the term election. So this is the explanation on election. An election is a formal process in which individuals or groups of people, typically citizens of a country or members of an organization, choose or select one or more individuals or options from a list of candidates or alternatives to hold a specific position or to make a decision. So the explanations that we have in terms of election. Then in terms of the next part of our question three, it reads, state two reasons why South African citizens might decide not to vote in an election. So these are the reasons: dissatisfaction with political parties, a lack of trust in the electoral process, voter apathy, and disengagement. We also have logistical barriers. So on logistical barriers, these are challenges related to the logistics of voting, such as long distances to polling stations, a lack of access to transportation, or difficulties with voter registration. Can also deter citizens from participating in elections. So this is explanation on logistical barriers. Then on the next question, explain the reasons why voting electronically could encourage more South Africans to vote. So of course, our convenience and accessibility. So if it's convenient and accessible, it means more people will be able to vote. We also have reduced waiting times and also encourage people to vote. Increased voter engagement, enhanced accessibility for disabled individuals, faster and more accurate results. So this is what we have on this part. So on the next question, discuss two precautions put in place to ensure that South African citizens can only vote once. So we've got a voter registration. Before an election, citizens are required to register to vote. This registration process typically involves providing personal information and proof of identity. Electoral authorities verify this information to create a voter roll. So this is a precaution to ensure that everyone vote once, and also use of identification. Also, when citizens arrive at polling stations to vote, they are required to present a valid form of identification, such as an identity card, passport, or voter registration card. This ensures that only eligible voters are allowed to cast their ballots. And also, ink marking and biometrics also is another precaution. After voting, a special ink is often applied to the voter's finger to prevent them from voting again in the same polling station. In some cases, biometric technology like fingerprint scanning may be used to verify a voter's identity and prevent multiple voting. We go to the next one, voter lists and cross-checking also. Electoral authorities maintain detailed voter lists that specify which citizens are eligible to vote in each polling station. These lists are often used to cross-check the identity of voters and ensure that they have not already voted at another location. So this is what we have in terms of those precautions. Then 3.5, assess two reasons why it is important for South African citizens to vote in the national elections. Representation and accountability, one. Two, influence in policies and governance. Protection of rights and freedoms. Also, you have a voice of marginalized communities, legitimacy of government is also points that we can include. So in terms of legitimacy of government, we do have the explanation on legitimacy of government on this part. Then on 3.6, we have to suggest ways that the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa could ensure that digital voting can take place in a way that does not damage the integrity of the elections. In each answer, also indicate how schools could use these ways for perfect voting. So ways to ensure the integrity of digital voting in South Africa. Implement robust cybersecurity measures is the first one. And then in terms of explaining that point, the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa should invest in the state-of-the-art cybersecurity measures to protect digital voting systems from hacking and tampering. This includes encryption, firewalls, regular security audits, and continuous monitoring of the voting platform for vulnerability. So, in terms of the answering the second part of the question, so if you refer back, the second part of this question is we see that we have ways that the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa could ensure that digital voting can take place in a way that does not damage the integrity of the elections. In each answer also indicate how schools could use these ways. So that's the second part, how schools could use these ways for perfect voting. So these are the points that we have. So in terms of further points that we have, in terms of our question 4, we have to state 4 reasons why a woman may feel the need to have an abortion. So these are the points that we have: health risks, financial constraints, education or career goals, unintended pregnancy. And on the next question, analyze the negative effects of abortions on the babies that survive abortions. Physical health complications, emotional and psychological impact, medical treatment, stigma and identity issues. So those are some of the negative effects that we can come up with. Then moving on to the next part. Of course, this as now the next question is critically discuss the impact or importance of the psychological consequences for a teenager who chooses to have an abortion, emotional distress, identity and self-worth. The abortion decision could lead to questioning of self-identity and feelings of low self-worth, affecting their self-esteem, and also relationships, long-term effects, support systems, educational impact. In terms of our question 5, we have to construct paragraphs on social media awareness, Use the following as a guideline. State four negative effects of spending too much time on social media platforms. So it's reduced productivity, negative mental health impact, impaired sleep patterns, privacy concerns, and cybersecurity risks. And on the next question, analyze how social media can raise awareness of social issues. We have got amplification of voices. Social media platforms provide a space for individuals and organizations to amplify their voices and share information about social issues. This enables grassroots movements and marginalized communities to reach a broader audience and garner support. So this is a positive in terms of social media. Then we also have rapid dissemination of information also. It's also how it can raise awareness, rapid dissemination of information. Then, of course, we have got an explanation on that, on rapid dissemination of information, whereby social media allows for rapid dissemination of news and information. When social issues emerge, they can be shared and discussed in real time, facilitating swift responses and mobilization for action. We also have visual and emotional impacts, global reach, user-generated content, hashtags, and viral campaigns. Of course, we've got continuation of the points whereby we've got community building, accountability and transparency, fundraising and support, political activism. So we also have the conclusion in terms of the analysis. Then on the next question, critically discuss principles of online etiquette that students should practice when engaging in social media platforms. Obviously, the first one is respect and civility. Treat others with respect and civility, just as you would in face-to-face interactions. Avoid using offensive language, derogatory comments, or personal attacks. Also, second, think before you post. And in terms of the further points, privacy and consent, constructive criticism, cyberbullying prevention, fact finding, diverse perspectives. We also have online safety, content moderation, consent for tagging and mentioning, online etiquette in academics, digital footprint awareness. So these are the further points that we have. And of course, we've got the conclusion part. So moving on to the next part. So on the next part, we have to state four ways in which the coronavirus pandemic has affected interpersonal relationship among friends and family. So this is our question. State four ways in which the coronavirus pandemic has affected interpersonal relationships among friends and family. So all our responses, you should consider examples of how social distances measures have affected in-person interactions. Also, changes in communication patterns. For example, increased use of video calls, decreased face-to-face meetings. Emotional impact on relationships due to a prolonged separation. Then on the next question, analyze the impact of the coronavirus on the economy and business. So this is impact: economic contraction, unemployment and job losses, supply chain disruptions, business closures. We also have digital transformation acceleration, government support measures, impact on informal sector. We also have changes in consumer behavior. And also we have got long-term effects on business models, vaccine rollout and recovery. And of course, in summary, so on the next part, you have to critically discuss the broader societal consequences of the coronavirus pandemic. We have got the healthcare system strain, loss of lives and grief, education disruption, economic inequality, food insecurity, mental health challenges. Then on the next part, we also have further points that we have digital divide, vaccine hesitance and misinformation, community resilience and solidarity, remote work and lifestyle changes. We also have healthcare innovation and preparedness, impact on social norms and customs. And of course, we end with our conclusion. So basically, this is what we have, guys, according to this video. And these are typical examination questions that we're going through from the province of Gauteng. So let's stay tuned for more videos to come. More typical examination questions will be uploaded. More question papers are going to be uploaded. So let's stay tuned. Let's subscribe. Let's share. We'll meet again in the next video.